Welcome to the Women of Moorpark podcast. Our very first guest tonight is going to be Alison Rosenblum. How are you, Alison?
I am doing well. How are you?
I am doing great because you're my first guest, and I'm so excited to ask you a million questions.
Woo!
I'm turning off this light because I see you all around town. I've seen you for years. I've seen you at Chaparral. I've seen you at High Street. And you're just so interesting, and I always want to stop you and just like ask you a million questions, because you just sparkle, first of all, and
Thanks,
you're so
girl.
full of talent and you have this aura and there's just something about you. So I just need to know so many things.
Okay.
All right, so if I go back to the beginning of Baby Allison, first of all, did you
Okay.
have any nicknames or what did they call you when you were a youngster?
So it's funny, that my parents used to call me Allie, and my brother still calls me Allie. And I've never felt like an Allie. I feel like there's a cutesiness about it that I just don't embody. So yeah, but they still call me that. My bestie calls me Allie, but like nobody else.
So they called you Allie. Okay, what was Allie? What were you, baby Allison? What were you
Hmm.
drawn to in your childhood from, let's say, like kindergarten through like fifth grade? What were you drawn to?
That's so interesting. Okay. Going back in my
Yeah.
head, I've been doing this forever. Um, but I feel like even as like in kindergarten, just making people laugh or being the entertaining person was always like that was my everything. What if it would make them laugh, I'd do it.
Do you have a time that you remember getting a big laugh and thinking, "Oh, I got to do this again"?
I feel like I got them mostly at home, but it wasn't until I was on stage and like that feeling of like the immediate gratification of like, oh, that was funny was everything I needed to never stop doing it for the rest of my entire life.
I love it. Did you use it to get out of trouble when you were a kid?
Oh, I can't remember exact moments, but I can pretty much guarantee it. I mean,
Like
even
you
to this
turn it into
day,
something
I'll
funny?
yeah, like even to this day, I remember I'll say things like I'll make a joke and try to change the mood. No, everything's fine.
And it probably worked. Changing the mood is kind of powerful, actually.
Yeah,
So you were drawn to making people laugh. And where did you grow up? What city?
Newbury Park,
Oh, you grew up in Newbury Park.
NPHS
Oh,
class of '03. Yeah.
oh, so you were right there. Okay, so you were into, and then what did you watch? What cartoons were you into? What were your shows?
Oh my gosh, this is like I feel like I've put so many of these away and I haven't visited this memory in forever.
These are very important questions to me. I'm
No.
telling you, forget the Proust questionnaire. I really think I need to know, like, what were you watching on Saturday morning, or
Yeah,
what cartoons, what cereal were you eating? I need to know.
girl. Okay. So I was like, what did I watch? I know like my family and I we were tight. And
Yeah,
like would watch shows that were probably I was probably too young for to watch, like Friends. But I was the baby of the family, so like we watched it.
you were
Um,
the
oh,
baby.
I'm the baby. That's why I think I like to make people laugh because I'm like, well,
So you were
he's
so
the
cute,
smart
and you
one, but I
watched
it's my name.
Friends. So you watched Friends with the whole fam because it was a big
Yeah,
event back in the day.
yeah. And I was probably like 10, 11, probably way too young to be watching Friends. Um, but I'm trying to think like I loved see, this is funny memories that are coming to me. I was not allowed to watch Married with Children at home, and I don't know why, but I like did anyway. I'd like sneak into my
It
room
was
and watch it.
bad. It was
I know.
saucy and spicy. That's why.
But I'd be like, well, now that it's forbidden fruit, I must watch.
You were like, now I have to watch it.
You know what I
Hmm.
watched a lot of was I Love Lucy, and they had it on Nick at Night, and I would like, oh, that was my everything.
That is so you. I bet you that had a part in shaping you.
Probably like I have books on Lucille Ball. I think she's a genius. Yeah.
He is a genius. So that is one of your early role models, kind of.
Oh, for sure. Her and Ethel Merman were the two
And
that I
we've
was like,
talked
I'm
about
obsessed.
Ethel Merman. So how did you even know who Ethel Merman was? Because most people don't unless they're of a certain age.
Okay, this is a very specific story I actually remember. Is my parents have been musical theater people. I know that's shocking. Specifically my mom. My dad was a musician. My mom was like musical theater though. And I have been loud my entire life. Um, and
You
so
don't say.
like,
You don't say.
I remember
Okay.
being in the car and I was like singing, and my mom was like, God, you're like Ethel Merman. And that's all it took for me to be like, who's that? Tell me everything. Um, why'd that go away? There it is. Um, yeah, so that was, and then I looked her up and I was like, oh my God. And then I remember even finding out because I was born in 1985 and she died in 1984. And I was like, what if I'm her reincarnate? Like I was obsessed,
Well, she's iconic. She's an
right?
icon. Wait, give us a little rundown for those who don't know who Ethel. Everyone knows who Lucille Ball is, I think, but who in a little memo version, who is Ethel Merman?
I can do impressions too if you want, if I can get there with my voice today. But she was a Broadway icon. She was the
Icon.
original Mama Rose in Gypsy. My favorite is she played Annie Oakley and Annie Get Your Gun twice, which I have also done. Um,
Wow.
where she and the second time she did it, she was way too old, and so was I. But here we are doing the part. But like she was the OG of so many different shows, and she was known for being just insanely loud.
So she could belt. She had the
Oh
voice,
yeah,
she had the presence. I'm
she
seeing
was
some
demanding.
similarities.
I've
I'm
heard
seeing
some
some
stories.
similarities. She was a diva?
Oh, a little bit, yeah.
I don't feel like you are a diva.
I try really hard not to be.
I feel like you're very friendly. Okay, so little you was starting to form. You were like, "Ooh, Lucille Ball. I'm funny. I'm noticing these laugh tracks on Friends, and
Yeah.
you're kind of like looking at things. You're like, "Oh, what's this? Married with Children." So you're looking at television and cinema. Was your family into any certain movies that you watched together?
My dad was a huge lover of the classics, like Mel Brooks. We listened to the 2000-Year-Old Man in the year 2000 on loop. We watched I saw Spaceballs way too young. I saw like I knew all that was my comedy. But then like what's funny is as I grow up, my favorite movies like A League of Their Own. Like I as I learned acting, I was like, but wait, these are really incredible movies. Um, but yeah, no, I was definitely brought up on comedy as well. That was my dad's thing.
And what was it about A League of Their Own that kind of took you in a different direction?
Okay, so here's that. And I think it leads to a lot of my other favorite movies. Am I allowed to curse on this podcast? It's not a bad word.
Yes, you know what,
Okay.
everybody? Turn it down if you're in the car with the children. Cursing is going to commence.
No, it's not gonna be awful. But I was just gonna say, like, to me, there's nothing better than badass women. Like that was I was like that. So League of Their Own was badass women. My
Yeah,
favorite Disney princess film is Mulan because she's a badass. Like that started to become my next appeal. It's like, oh, I can make people laugh, but can I make them feel? Can I make them realize that I'm a badass too?
that's
So
interesting.
yeah.
So that struck you. So were you middle school or still a kid when A League of Their Own came out? I can't remember when that came out, the 90s, early
Mm.
90s. Or you were little.
Yeah. But
So
I was an athlete growing up.
you were an athlete. So what sports?
Specifically softball and soccer were my big ones. What's funny is the only sport I played in high school was basketball, but I was benched 90% of the time.
What were you mouthing off?
No, they just didn't. I
They
had a
didn't play
nickname of
you?
Airball Alley, because I
Oh
could
my
outrun
gosh.
anyone on the court, but then I'd miss the basket. So they were like, just stop.
Well, they don't know what they're missing. So you were athletic. So you had a
Yes.
lot of different talents. So that's,
Thanks,
well, I'm not
thanks.
surprised. So tell me
Yes.
about middle school. Was there any awkward phases? Were you still funny? How did middle school, you're like, what was an awkward phase? How would you describe your middle school years?
Well, I think middle school is really when I came into my humor, and it was like I talk about awkward years. Here's like
Yeah.
a here's a knowledge bomb about me is I actually had a nose job when I was 15. And it was
Wow.
because I played soccer and I broke it. But prior to that, I was not, it was a giant schnoz in the middle of my face. And I did
Hmm.
not feel very attractive. So what I felt like I lacked in physical appearance, I could make up for in comedy and humor.
And then,
So
so was it the whole like usual people making fun of your nose, like the typical bully, like, hey, schnoz, or like what happened?
yeah, I mean, I think it
They're
was in
so
middle school
rude.
too that I really learned how when you just don't care, they give it up.
That's so important.
Yeah, like I was the one that would be like, if you say something random back at them, they'll leave it alone. So I remember I had a friend who was like coming out, and there were
Yeah.
kids all around school. They're like, "You're a fag," and I was like, "All you got to do is like look
Ugh.
at him and be like, do you know that fag backwards is gaff?" and walk away. And they're like, "What?" And it totally worked. Like it was like just throw them off their game, and they're confused, and they leave you alone. Uh,
That's huge. That's huge
yeah,
to teach somebody and to know for yourself at a young age like that.
yeah. So that was really big, and that's when I was probably the most like weirdly confident in middle school, which is very backwards of most middle school kids.
I love it. No, I think it's great. And it sounds like you were an ally and you helped, you had friends that, I mean, back then people didn't just come out. It wasn't like some easy thing. But it sounds like you definitely helped some people who were struggling
Yeah,
with being bullied.
that was my goal because it's like I felt like I found this magic and just wanted to share it with the rest of my victim friends. Yeah.
God. So what kind of music were you into in middle school? Like what was cool and then what were you into? And were
Okay.
they one and the
So
same?
no, I'm like by middle school, it was Broadway musicals or nothing. I don't know that I listened
Really?
to anything else. I'm trying to think of when the only time my music like changed, if you will, at all.
Hmm.
There were two phases I went through, and one of them was I was so random, but I was like super obsessed with like gospel, like me, like
Really?
you
Wow.
just belt their faces off, like in the name of the church. And it's funny, I didn't even grow up in a church, but like that was
Interesting.
Ruth Brown, I think is the name of one of them, where like my godmother took me and she's like, you have to get this album. And I was
Wow.
by that forever. And then it wasn't until Kelly Clarkson won American Idol, and I was like, that, I like that. And
That was
so,
an iconic moment also. Yeah.
yeah. And that was near when I graduated high school because I definitely sang a moment like this at graduation.
Oh,
Um,
wow. That's such a good one for a graduation.
um,
Goosebumps.
but yeah, like that, it was that or Broadway musicals and like nothing in between.
And when you were that age in the middle school era,
Mhm.
what was the Broadway musical that you were completely obsessed with if you had to pick one on the at the top of the pyramid?
So the musicals I did in middle school, I think most affected those choices. I did
Ah, yes.
Oklahoma and then I did Fiddler on the Roof. And so I was listening to those like crazy.
And now you are a theater. What is your role exactly?
It's funny, I was just telling my students about this the other day. My job is very unique in the sense that in most high schools, there's a choir teacher who runs the vocal program, and then there's a
Yes.
theater teacher who runs the theater program, and I do both. Um,
Wow.
so I like to just laugh and say I am the performing arts. Me and Mr. Rogers, the new band teacher, we are the performing arts. Um, but like that's if it's something that happens on stage and doesn't involve musical instruments, I probably did it. Like that's yeah.
What little you would have been so thrilled. Like how fun, because you get to pick these musicals that the kids are doing, right? These
Yes. I let them choose one time and that was a mistake. So now I
Wait, so what did they choose when you were like, why are we doing this?
okay, the one musical they fully chose
You
was
don't have to
Cinderella.
say. What is it?
Was Cinderella, which I will say like sold better than any show, but like as far as like making art, that is not the most fulfilling. You know what I mean? Like, but
You
it was
you
fun.
let them you gave up the control. That was very nice of you. All right, so okay, now, so those are the two you did in middle school. What about high school you?
Oh yeah.
Tell me about high school you and what musicals you did and what were your influences.
Okay, high school me. Oh
First
my
of
gosh.
all, what was
Okay.
your hair? What was your hair like?
Oh,
And
girl.
that's what I need to know. That's very important, by the way.
That's hilarious. Okay, so I have very complicated hair that
Mm.
Okay, so first of all, growing up, I had really, really curly hair. And if you know my daughter, she has the exact hair I used to have. And then I hit 13 and I got diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And
Ugh.
since then, my hair has been so inconsistent, that I almost never just let it be. So high school, it would either be stick straight or very, very, very curly. Like there was no, I either like straightened it till it was falling off my head.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was that super straightened hair.
Uh-huh. And I
Uh-huh.
know because that when Friends was out, and I definitely had the Rachel at some point.
You had, oh yeah, you had to.
You
You had to have
had
the Rachel.
to.
Yep, yep.
Um, yeah, and that's like in theater in high school is where I learned to do like my makeup, and I would wear makeup every day then. And I was pretty tomboyish for the
Ooh.
majority of my life. And then high school, and I was like, oh, makeup's fun.
You're like, I'm gonna do makeup. So what shows did you do in high school?
Okay. Do you want shows and parts or just shows?
Oh, and parts.
Okay. I was like, then going back, I was Ado Annie in Oklahoma, and I was Golda in Fiddler on the Roof.
Wow, okay.
But I will tell this fun side story of I was actually originally offered Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof
Mm.
because in middle school, no boys can get very low, and I sang lower than all of the boys. So they were like, give her the male lead. And my mom was like, no. So, so then
Oh,
they were
so
like,
that's
okay,
the
this like
male lead. See, I don't know who these people are. I kind of know. But okay,
Tevye was
so
like the
that
main
would have been a
guy.
dude. Okay, so it's an
And then Gold is,
alto.
yeah, Gold is his wife. So then I was that one, which is also a phenomenal role. Um,
Okay.
then high school, okay, freshman year, we did Kiss Me Kate and I played Hattie. We did Guys Have
Oh,
Dolls and I was General Matilda Cartwright, who had no singing, and that was depressing for me because I was a singer.
oh, yeah.
Um, and then sophomore, was sophomore year Kiss Me Kate? That might have been sophomore year. And that's when, oh, but that, okay. Sophomore year is when I first did my very first play, and it was Neil Simon's Come
Uh-huh.
Blow Your Horn.
Oh, I'm gonna
And
have
I
to
got
look
to
it
play
up.
the Jewish grandmother. And
Oh,
that
you
was
killed
like,
it.
but that was the real memory I have of like, oh my God, I can make people really laugh. Like, this is
So that was the
phenomenal.
moment. That was
Yeah.
the moment. What did you wear for that part?
It's so funny that you bring that up because part of it was my idea. They gave me what we Jews would call a shmata, which is like just like a dress that hangs, right? It's just a dress. It's
Like a
your house dress.
muumuu?
It's a shmata.
Yeah.
Um, but I asked if I could wear knee-high stockings that absolutely show. And then I wore like old lady like orthopedic shoes because she was like a grandma, and I was really trying to up it, and that was so fun.
Now,
That's some of
did
the
you
fun I've
base
ever
this
had.
on your own bubby or your own grandma?
Okay, one more story. Yes, my actual own bubby or grandma grew up with Neil Simon in New
What?
York. They grew up together.
Now you tell us. This is I need to get on these. I could need to get on my questions. See, look what I uncovered, everybody. This is insane. First of all, explain who Neil Simon is for people who may not be on their game.
Okay, so he is known for being a comedy writer of plays. Um, I'm trying to think. It's like
Very
my knowledge is
famous, like an
he's very famous.
incredible playwright. Okay.
One of the most famous like comedy playwrights, Biloxi Blues. Like this is Neil Simon. Um, and he wrote like very Jewish New York. Like that's what he did. And so my grandma grew up with him on Long Island in New York, or maybe it wasn't Long Island,
What?
but it was in New York. My mom grew up in Long Island. I don't think my grandma did, but they were in New York,
Okay.
and they would be on the subway together. And I would hear the story where my grandma would listen to him writing stuff, and she'd go, "Give it up, Neil. You're not funny." And I was like, and that's my grandma because he became one of the most famous comedy playwrights in the world.
I'm gagged. I am so gagged.
So
Okay, so
thank
this
God he
is
didn't listen to my grandmother.
that is amazing. See, we needed to get that recorded because that is insane. And then you ended up in the play as Bubby,
As yeah,
or
name
anyway,
anymore.
what who was the grandmother? What was the name of the grandmother?
I don't remember. I have to look it up.
Something funny. So you really started really, I mean, you did a lot of theater work, you did a lot of singing. You just went straight for it, it sounds like. It
Oh
sounds like you
yeah.
just knew.
I had a voice teacher in high school and he did a lot of like what are they called? Recitals. And so I got to sing one of the times in one of my recitals, I sang a duet with the daughter of David Lander. Is that his name? Landers. He was Squiggy on Laverne and Shirley.
Oh yeah, he used to bite his hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which also reminds me, Laverne and Shirley was the other one I watched a lot on Nick and Night.
Oh, what a great show.
Right?
Great comedic timing. So funny, so stupid, and just
I
funny.
loved. That's what I
They were
love.
so, and they did their little dance where they snapped. They just like,
Oh,
I don't know. They're so
yes.
funny.
No,
Yeah,
I love.
so
So I got to sing a duet with his daughter, and he was like in the audience, and I was like, oh my God. And then another girl that went to the same voice teacher as me has gone on to Broadway and done great things. Like, so, and these are just like recitals that we had. My parents hosted one time. These people were in my house. Like, it was crazy.
so this is really in your blood and kind of in your genetics, all of this. 'Cause see, this is now it's all now you're making sense to me. See, all these years.
Well, I'll throw
Your
one more at
grandmother's
you
hanging
then.
out with Neil Simon. Okay, now it's making sense. Okay, so you graduate high school, you sing the Kelly Clarkson. Your
Yeah,
hair may or may not be it's either very straightened or it's very curly.
yeah.
Where does Allison go after high school?
Well, hang on. I have to throw one more who I'm related to in the mix, and then I'm going to answer that question.
What? Okay, please tell us. We need to know.
Okay, because my mom's side, my grandma grew up with Neil Simon. On my dad's side, his great uncle, which I guess makes him my great great uncle, was one of the most at the time. He died in the 80s, so people nowadays don't really know him anymore. But he
Hmm.
was one of the most famous tenors in opera, named Richard
Really?
Tucker. And the bust of his
What's
head is outside like the Metropolitan Opera House in New York City.
wait. What is his name? Say his name again.
Richard Tucker.
Richard Tucker. I'm gonna look him up right now. Oh, here he
Yeah,
is. He's a tenor. And Hazan? What is a Hazan?
I don't know.
Wow. Okay, so yes, he was born in Brooklyn in 1913. So who is this? Your great uncle?
So it's my dad's great uncle, which makes him my great great uncle.
Okay, yeah, he's iconic also, associated with the Metropolitan Opera. Okay, wow. Okay, that's very notable, and it
So
also
like
makes
that's the
a
blood
lot
right
of
there.
sense. That
Yeah,
that's many bloodlines of fabulousness. Okay, so this is all in your body, in your veins. It's just like pumping out of you. You
yeah.
graduate high school. Where do you go? What
All right,
happens?
I get a full ride academic scholarship to Cal State Fullerton.
Oh, girl.
Girl,
Congratulations.
thank you. We was
So,
called a
so,
presidential scholar.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's
And you
funny
go
is,
there.
yeah, they did like there were like four different processes you had to do to get it. Like one was proving your grades, one was doing this. The last one was an interview, and there was a man in the room who was like a very like closeted musical theater guy. And I
Yeah.
remember them asking me if there was one person you could meet. Like this was in the interview to become a presidential scholar. Like if
Oh,
there's one person you could meet or have lunch with, dead or alive, who would it be? And I was like, Ethel Merman. And the guy's like, oh my God. And he goes, and I was like, well, I could do impressions. And he's like, do it. And I think that's when I became a presidential scholar. Um,
from your Ethel Merman imitation. Okay, so
I don't,
folks,
he was
listen.
obsessed.
Listen, you got to do a little Ethel Merman for us, for those of us who need to hear, because we're gonna, after this podcast, we're gonna go on YouTube and listen to her. So give us a
Yeah.
little Ethel.
She did have a disco album. It's really bad. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it. I've been talking a lot
Okay.
for weeks teaching, but okay, hang on.
Okay.
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 There's no business like show business, like no business I know. Anyway, I'm out of breath. But there's that. That was
That sounds like Ethel Merman to
I
me.
love her.
Guys, go on YouTube, you guys, after this. You're gonna go, oh, I get it. I get it. So you got this scholarship
Yeah.
because of your Ethel Merman. This is a crazy story.
This
Think
to
about
this
this.
day, I believe that's why I got it. But it was an academic scholarship. Like I had to
No, but
get
you
great.
know, sometimes you just know. Okay, so you
Yeah.
go there,
Uh-huh.
and what commences at college?
Okay, you want all the stories?
Well, let's see.
Girl,
We've got 13 minutes. So tell me
let's
5
do
minutes
this.
worth.
Okay,
What'd
so
you
I got
do?
some
What'd you
cray cray
do?
stories for college. So the way that program works, a lot of like college theater programs, you have to audition to even get into, right? You don't even go there
Mm.
unless you get in. But Cal State Fullerton has this where like if you want to major in musical theater, you just go. You go.
Oh,
And the freshman year, they teach you stuff. And then at the end of freshman year, they kind of wheedle out some of the people who like don't want to be there. Cool. Now it's a little bit less. So by the end of my freshman year, there were like 23 of us. And then at the end of your sophomore year, they do a whole thing called a jury process where you go, like, you have to prepare 3 songs. They're going to pick some at random. You go perform it for a panel of judges. Then you have to do all these dances. They teach them to you. You have to do them back. Then you have these scenes you prepare. You have to do like all this stuff and you get graded on all of this. And then at the end, they're supposed to pick like 10 kids to be in the musical theater program, the BFA musical theater program.
oh,
So I have never been the greatest dancer, and I kind of felt like that was going to be my downfall, but I'd worked my booty off. Um, and I felt like I did really well. And then they post the list, and there's only 9 for the first year ever, and I'm not one of them.
what?
And I'm like, what? Oh my God, I like came here for musical theater, and I'm not even going to major in musical theater. And so I get my jury like rubrics, if you will, back, and they were all like perfect score, like not perfect, but like really like I should have been in there, except for one that like had really low gradings, and at the bottom, and this is a true story, it said lacks volume and energy. And I literally was like, okay, this is a joke. Like you could tell me I didn't dance well enough, and I'd be like, yeah, you're probably right. You're gonna list the 2 things that I have without effort and say I don't have those things.
So
Something's
who
up.
did you find out who this person was, and did you have a theory?
Oh, I found all of it out, Amy.
So
Okay,
listen, so in a nutshell, because I do have other questions, in a
okay.
nutshell, what did you learn from that?
They
Because there must
they
have been
like,
many other moments where you were not selected.
oh yeah.
What did that teach you?
Well, I mean, rejection is part of the industry. So like that, it was hard, and it was probably the hardest rejection I'd ever had because I literally had to change my major. Like that was after 2 years of college, I had to change my major.
But that one feels
Um,
shady though. So what do you do in that situation?
so I found out from my senior year lighting teacher that they didn't want me in the program because I was there on an academic scholarship. And if I'm so smart, what am I doing in theater?
So you were taking up the spot of somebody else? Was that the
Yeah.
thinking?
Their exact thought was if I'm so smart, go science and cure cancer. Why are you here?
So when something like that happens, what does one do? What did you do with that?
Okay. So what's funny is by the end of college, I kind of wanted to be a teacher. I was thinking about it,
Really?
but that actually was the thing that was like, well, you know what? Now I'm going to go prove them wrong. And that's what made me move to New York and be like, you're all incorrect about me, actually. Um,
So that, so
so
that, okay, so that at that time, you were like, I can't believe this happened to me.
yeah,
This is so messed up. What have I done to deserve this? But it actually was a catalyst for you moving to New York.
yeah, it
And
was the kick in the pants that was like, no, you're wrong. Let me prove it to you.
what I love that kind of thing. So you went to New York and did what? This is
I
insane.
I was a working actor out of New York City for about 3 or 4 years.
You
Yeah,
showed him. You were
I
like, oh,
did.
really? Oh, really? Well, guess what? So you go to New York. Where did you
Yeah.
live?
When I first moved out there, I was very fortunate. I got an inheritance from one of my grandmothers. So I lived on the Upper East Side in like a
Girl,
building with like a doorman because I was like, I'm a single girl in New York and I'm scared.
stop. Wait, Upper East
Um,
Side in the 70s, 50s, 60s?
right before it became Harlem, it was 96th and Park. No,
Okay,
96th and
90s.
Lexington and
And
96th.
Lex? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, so
It was bougie. It was a little bougie.
so you could walk to the park, like you had a
Oh
nice
yeah.
little, well, that's lovely.
But
So
then after
90,
1 year, I ran out of money and I found a roommate and we moved to Washington Heights. And that was much more affordable.
but that sounds fun though.
Yeah.
It sounds fun. So you ended up going out there, being a working actor. So you did shows, like you auditioned, like we see on
Yeah.
TV and movies, and you were just up there in your leotard singing with like messy shoes on and like a ripped sweatshirt?
Yeah, I don't know that I wear that exact outfit, but yes.
In my head, it's like the 70s. It's like Fame. Did you ever watch Fame?
I was in the musical Fame. That was one of the things I booked while I was living out of New York.
That was such a good show. I think it was on before you were born, but it was such a
I'm
good show.
gonna
They were at,
live
weren't they on at
forever.
Juilliard or something? But yeah, it made me, my sister and I would always play Fame and like be spinning around with the leg. Did you ever wear leg warmers or was that way before your time?
No, like when I was teeny tiny, I did. I was born in the 80s, so they were big.
Oh
My
my gosh. Okay,
leggings.
okay, so you're in New York,
Yes.
you're doing shows.
Yes.
What did you learn from being out there in the city? And this is kind of a not an easy thing that you went and did. Auditioning
Correct.
is incredibly brutal, and those of
Yeah.
us who have never even done it know that. So how did that shape you into who you are right now, that experience out there?
I mean, it definitely makes you stronger because you have to. But there's something about living in New York when like you literally go on an audition a day, sometimes multiple, that you never are like I felt like when I was living out here, it's like you audition for one or two things a year. So if you don't get them, like that's it. But out there, it's like you're auditioning every day. And that becomes your job, right? Like it's you do that. So then when you book something, it's like, oh, that's cool. Like you're not even like thinking about what did I do? What did I audition for? What is this phone call? Um, so I mean, yeah, it was just about pounding the pavement every day, getting up, doing the thing. I had to get there. I was always non-union. So I had to get to like the audition or the audition spaces at like 4 or 5 a.m. to get my name on the list. I don't know how things are now. This was pre-COVID, um, but yeah, so I would like get up, do my hair there. It was crazy, but it definitely made me stronger. I was like, after this, I can literally do anything. Like this is crazy, and I can do it.
So did it make you, you didn't exactly after that many, I mean, you got rejections and you got acceptances. So after that, any rejection was like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm gonna go do something tomorrow.
Well, yeah, it doesn't even feel like a rejection. It's just like you don't hear anything. You just move on.
Who
You know what I mean? It's not
cares?
like they're calling you and being like, "We're not casting you." Like that doesn't happen.
You just
You just
don't hear
don't
from
hear
them.
anything.
So
Yeah.
you go through all that. You come back here at some point,
Yes.
and I remember when I met you, you were doing a lot of high street.
Yeah.
I think you were doing what other places? So after that, you came back. So what was that? How did that work?
That's when I met a guy doing a show. He was from New York.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, I want to pursue voiceover. Do you want to move to LA?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm from like that area. Let's go."
Yeah.
So we moved back here. Um, and one of my first jobs coming back here was I worked at a mathnasium. I was the manager at a mathnasium in Sherman Oaks. And I remember the manager looked at me and was like, because I kept being like, oh, I always wanted to be a teacher. And he's like, well, then why don't you? And I was like,
Oh,
what? And he's like,
interesting.
then go be a teacher. And I was like,
Interesting. What was
oh,
that person's name? We have to give him
oh,
props.
I don't even remember.
We got to remember because isn't it funny? Like sometimes someone makes a huge difference in your life,
Yeah.
and we've made differences in other people's lives by saying go do it, and we don't even
Yeah.
realize it.
You did for me. Yeah.
That's see, if we didn't have 5 minutes and 48 seconds left, we would go into that entire story. You know
Okay,
what?
fair.
So somebody asked you, why don't you do it? And you thought to yourself, what?
I went, you're right. And I literally went to Cal State Northridge and signed up that day.
See, look at the things that have your life branched in these very certain directions. So
Yeah.
then you go to CSUN,
Uh-huh.
you graduate with what?
I got my multiple subject credential
Hmm.
while getting married and having a child.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I remember I was in some of the classes and I was like about to have Jordan. Um, but and I was working, I got a job at a private school so I could teach without a credential.
Okay.
So I ended up I was like teaching in the morning and then taking classes at night. And after 4 years there, I got my credential. And then I applied at Moorpark because I've always loved Moorpark and the theater they have here. And I went, that's where I want to work.
And here you are.
And here I am.
So I feel like everybody in the town knows you. I don't know that we've all had a chance to pin you down and ask you a million questions. And I actually have a million more questions while I have you. Let's see. What is something other people have told you about yourself? That is one of the questions I love.
Why is the first thing my brain goes to is just how loud I am? The number one thing people tell me is like, "Oh, I heard you coming from down the hall." But Cal State Fullerton says I lack volume and energy.
All right, how
Um,
about, yeah.
Sorry.
Is there anything surprising that someone has told you about yourself where you're like, really?
Okay, this one actually happened recently. Someone said you dumb yourself down and you're smarter than you give off.
Wow, that's kind
That was
of
really interesting to me.
that would make me think for a minute.
Oh, it has. Yeah,
Yeah, that's actually big.
that's huge. So I'm glad you brought that up because that just made me
You're
restart thinking about it.
you're
Yes.
processing that. So, because we're running out of time,
I'm
I
sorry,
would
Amy, I
like
talk
to
a lot.
know, I would like to know what advice, general advice, do you have for these kids who want to do what you do, who have that passion for Broadway and the theater and the performing arts? What is something that you notice that they need to be told or something that you think is very important that they know?
The biggest one is that you truly have to find out who you are so that you can be authentically you 100% of the time. People who want to do this tend to want to put on something else. And I feel like that is at a detriment. There's no
And
you out in the world, but there's a lot of other people.
how would you how would you tell a young person to what's a good way for them to find themselves? Do they understand what you mean when you say that?
It's fun. It's in high school, I have found where people are like, I get you. In middle school, they're like, I don't know who I am.
Yeah,
And so that definitely was that's hard. And it just comes from living in your head a little bit and going like, what, how did I react to that? Why did I do that? And literally sitting and journaling and thinking through why you do what you do and truly finding out who you are and what feels right in your soul. And that's what you can
that's
start to bring
huge.
out. Yeah.
That's huge. And I think I almost want you to do like a journal that you could, like we need to publish you a journal for these kids. Be like, hey, fill this out to find out who you are. I think that
Yeah.
is such good advice to find
Well,
out
I
who you
mean,
are so you can be authentic. Yeah.
I'm still learning who I am too every day. It's just like you're never done.
That's really huge. Well, these kids are very lucky to have you. I am lucky to have had you as my guest on
Yes,
my very
girl.
first guest on the Women of Moorpark. We're gonna have to have you back because I literally have like 30 more questions. But
Girl, it's
thank you for being my guest. Thank you for being
thank
so open
you.
and honest. And we will continue this conversation.
Yes, girl.
All right. All right.
Thank
Everybody
you.
have a great night, great morning, great afternoon. We'll talk to you soon. All right. Hold on.